This is Pod Populi, podcast for the people.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Femme Force podcast. I am so excited today to introduce Taqdees. Is that how I say your name correct?
Taqdees Razzaq.
Taqdees.
And you just add the D in. You have it right.
Taqdees.
Taqdees.
Taqdees. I'm saying it right, though. Taqdees.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Start again. I was just like, let me make sure I've got this correct before I'm like, la, la, la. Start again. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Femme Force podcast. My name is Rachel Paskvan, and I am your host. And today I am so excited to be with Taqdees Razzaq, who is an entrepreneur, life coach, and advocate for women empowerment. So she has been super impressive in building a successful ethnic clothing line and her nonprofit work in Pakistan. So we're so excited to be talking about starting a business, overcoming imposter syndrome, empowering women, and using, success to create global impact, which is amazing. So thank you so much for being on the podcast. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I really do appreciate it.
I'm so excited to talk about all this. So you started an ethnic clothing line while raising two children. So you went from being mom to entrepreneur. Tell us a little bit about that journey and how you got here.
I think the long story short would be I was going through a major postpartum depression because both of my sons are only 20 months apart. So my younger one, when I started Wow Meme, was 2 years old. And I had no idea what was going on with me. I think like fast forward, he's 7 years now. I think there's much more awareness thanks to social media, and other platforms about postpartum depression, about all those things, even though it's not like ages away, but you would hear from people, oh, you have gained so much weight. Oh, like, you're not the same anymore.
Right.
Oh, like, you're such a mess. Like people would go to all forms, and just be like, get yourself together. And
You just had a baby.
you are so lost. And I still remember after I had my first one, I was like, I want like a long break before we have our second one. And that's what we decided on. And then, like, God had other plans. And the second one came in 20 months. And I went through a gallbladder surgery in between. And it was just
Lord.
one thing after another. And I lost my grandma. And it was just like, I think if you look back now, I was just telling my friend, um, when I look back now, there's so much I think that I navigated through, and I'm so proud of myself for that. But at that time, you have no point of reference as to where you started, where you're gonna end. You're just in the middle and in the midst of everything, and all the hormonal changes and all the responsibility that comes with it. And just taking care of a human is not a small job.
No, it isn't.
And it was just like, okay, so what? And I have to give credit to my husband here. And all those who are listening, I think one thing that you can take away from this podcast episode is you can start today. Entrepreneurship is not for everyone, I know, but I think like if you have this idea or have this dream or just like this longing for freedom, um, and it's knocking on your door every single day and you keep on thinking about it, then you start today. And you can start today. When I started Wow Meme, which is my ethnic clothing business, I started in 2019, April. Um, as I said, I had no idea. I was coming back to social media, hated Instagram because I could just not perform there. And then Facebook
Hard.
Marketplace was kind of like a new thing at that time, so I started posting there. Um, Sorry. My social life was like close to nothing because I was taking care of two children. I was trying to navigate through this life. It was just very, very interesting times. So I just bought inventory, I still remember, for $700 on a credit card.
It's amazing.
Um, and that had like a 0% interest for like 12 months. And I was like, okay. And at that time, we were already in debt. So I had failure was not an option. And I think if you start from that mindset and you have like literally you're on top of the hill and then coming down and you know there's no other option but to go back up again. And this is where you, and going back up to the peak, I think this is where the business is. You are on, you have to jump off of the cliff.
Yeah.
And that's where the risk taking is. You cannot have, I know so many people who are working right now who admire what I do. But there's also like they wanna stick together with their job and always have a safety net. Um, Unfortunately or fortunately, when you begin the entrepreneurship journey, your safety net is you. So
Yeah.
what is going to count is your mental mindset. What is going to count is how you manage time, how disciplined you are. And I was none of those. My time, I had no idea how to manage time between the two kids and the business.
Yeah. A lot.
I still struggle with discipline, but I just jumped off of the cliff. Sorry. Um, and this is, and then COVID happened right
Yeah.
after 8 months of it. But persistence is the key here, as to anything else. Um, you just take the leap. You're either gonna fly or you're gonna fall down, but then you have to get back again and fly. Until you start flying, you just have to keep on jumping. And I think that's like the secret recipe to any successful business. And to me, numbers do matter, but for me, what matters is the freedom. Whether when if my child is sick, can I just drop everything and just cuddle with them in the bed? Because they need me. Or if I'm not feeling well, I can just sit on my couch, sip on tea, and then watch my favorite show. Sorry. If I cough too much, we can do this again,
No,
but
you're fine. Sorry.
sorry.
We have a company that edits. You're no problem.
Okay, perfect. So this is where it all started. 2019 with a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old and with debt and no savings. I know so many people who say they want to save before they start a business. A business starts when it starts. A business starts when you start. And the rest is history. Like today, I'm sitting here, I can tell you about my nonprofit, which is going pretty strong from the past 3 years. I am coaching now people through all of this journey because I think we all need that extra help. We
Yeah.
all need that extra encouragement. We all need someone who can tell them they believe in themselves. And what I have learned in the past 7 years, if I can teach that to you in a 3-day retreat or like a 1 month program, it's a win-win situation for anyone who can learn from my 7 years and moving on. Because everyone, I cannot sit here and say like I know it all, but I'm still work in progress. But I think you definitely can save time if you meet someone who is just a few steps ahead of you.
I mean, and that's amazing. And from the beginning, your marketing scheme was based on word of mouth, and you grew the business without a website and, achieved $20,000 in the first year. So how did you do that? Like without a website, without the social media presence, like doing it all through word of mouth?
It started with Facebook. I started posting pictures on Facebook, and then one person came, and then they told their friends about it. And this is where I would love, love, love to talk about. Don't give social media so much power that you lose yourself, you lose your business. I've seen people who are more worried about their social media followers um, than what the numbers are of their business because they think that it's directly correlated, and it is in certain businesses. But my personal experience has been create those personal connections. When someone is, whether it's through a phone call, through messages, or someone is here on your doorstep to buy something from you, give them the respect that they deserve. Give them the love that you give your products. Give them the love that you would like your clients to receive. And that's always a win-win situation.
I mean, and it's amazing that you were able to do that and like understand from being a first-time entrepreneur, like how to reach your target audience. So I mean, you came out of this with postpartum and, you started being an entrepreneur for the first time and raising two little kids. So how did you work on the self-doubt and find the confidence to really, scale the business?
I can tell you, Rachel, I think my business healed me because I did not go to a therapist, which I'm not very proud of. I think a lot of people, a lot of women go through this perception that, okay, I can take care of it all. It's not that bad yet. And trust me, it was pretty bad. It was really, really bad to the point I still remember when I was ironing my first tunic to put it up, to hang it on the stand for the first time, like I just felt alive. It was something that I did for myself. It wasn't for my children. It wasn't for the family. It wasn't for my husband. It was my own project that I was starting. Um, and self-doubts are there were days when I was like, is this really what I want to do? I'm just tired. Um, but I believe that you always have to hold the vision of your higher self. Um, is where do you see yourself at the end of the day? I kid you not, I used to listen to podcasts. And I was like, 10 years later, when I'm successful in my businesses, I would love to do interviews because I would love to tell my journey because this is pretty significant what I've been able to
What's
do
that?
for myself. Like literally 9 months later, I got invited to a podcast
I love that.
through my business. So I always say, and I read it in Ed Mylett's book, The Power of One More, your dreams are much closer than you think they are. We always have a depth perception problem. We always think things are years ahead, but they are literally, you can literally touch them. Um, as long as the only way to I think, in my opinion, the only way to overcome self-doubt is to believe in yourself. It's you against you, right? It's all the voices right here that you keep on hearing at the first place, and then you attract that energy. And then you meet if you're gonna continuously self-doubt yourself, you're gonna meet everyone around you, and you're gonna eventually see
Yeah.
they're gonna doubt you too. So
Yeah, you're setting a tone.
right. It's just the tone that, oh, I don't know what's gonna happen. And I kid you not, every time I've said like, oh my gosh, the business is going down. I wasn't expecting this month to be so slow. The next month was slower. Anytime I'm like, okay, this is all gonna work out, something works out. If you wake up in the morning and you're like, I'm gonna make that one sale today, um, that sale shows up.
I love that, but it's the power of a positive mindset.
It's the power of the positive mindset. A lot of there equal amount of noises. There are people who are very successful who believe 100% in hard work and investing time. And I think it's a mixture of both.
Yeah.
You can't have one without another. And eventually, what we all want, no matter what we are doing, is feel good about ourselves. Feel that we hold some value in the world that we are living in. We hold some value to the loved ones that are around us. What is it that we are offering? And like my personal philosophy is make other people's life easier if you want to make your life easier. And that kind of sets like, your pathway.
Yeah, but that's lovely. And what a great sense of purpose to have and to have it in like that mindset. So give some ideas of like the value of self-investment and like how believing in yourself, your vision, it really helped push you through the challenges. I feel like for a lot of female entrepreneurs and women in general, it's just the start today. Like, how do I start today? What do I do to start today?
I know that I was listening to this interview where the host said Atomic Habits,
Love that book.
the book that has like, and what's the author's name? I forgot.
James Clear.
James Clear, right. Um Someone asked him after writing the book interviews, what is the most like useful, the most important habit you think that leads to success? And he said, surround yourself with people who
Yeah.
you want to be like. When you're in your mid 30s or with the age and the time that we are in because of social media, um, there's a pandemic of loneliness as well,
Yep. It's
right?
very much real.
Because it's the connections are, I think, much more weaker than they used to be. So what do you do? I still remember someone asked me during a retreat, like, okay, so how do I surround myself um, with those people? I don't know where to find them. Um, so this is what I did. My educational background was all sciences, neuroscience, biochem, you name it, because I wanted to become a doctor, just like any South Asian immigrant kid. Um, but I wanted to make an impact on this world much faster. And I thought like, okay, this is too much work, too much science. This was just me.
Yeah.
Um, so when I started this business, I had no background of business,
It's
in any way,
oh,
shape, or form.
yeah.
So, and I did not have time to read books, and I still don't. So what do? Anytime that I have to myself, whether I'm cleaning the kitchen, washing dishes, the nights I cannot sleep, any time that I do have to myself, it's all podcasts and books, um, and social media accounts that are not a negative impact on you.
Yeah.
I love Mel Robbins' books and
Phenomenal.
her work. I think her High Five Habit book is amazing. So you surround yourself with those people got who were able to get out of this misery they were in.
Yeah.
Because that's what it is when you wake up in the morning and I had perfectly healthy children. I had a loving husband, yet I always felt sick before doing a business.
Yeah.
And then I felt shameful for not being grateful. Um, for all of that I have received and the health and like and it was just like, okay, you are so unthankful. Um but it was just like something was missing and I could not figure out what it was. And when you empower yourself where you earn your first dollar with which whatever creativity, whatever service, whatever product that you came up with and are willing to sell, that's a whole different world that you have just opened for yourself because you have earned it. Um, and this is what you do. A self-empowering journey is, I think, a self-educational journey.
No, I completely agree.
And I started with like washing my face every day and every night because I didn't do that when I had, and I know we all tend to do that. Start taking care of yourself
It's those little
physically,
tasks.
mentally. It all starts with you, and I know we have all heard of this example, like you cannot pour out of an empty cup.
1,000%.
And it's 100% the case of like if I'm not happy, my kids are not happy. And I think like the biggest win for me was like 7 years later this year. There was a parent teacher conference, and I went to my son's class, who's in third grade right now. And there was like this wall of who wants to be what in the future. And you see like, kids had like engineer, doctors, all these fields of like, service and businesses, and none of them were businesses. And then I saw like this stick figure with a lemonade stand with a $10 lemonade. Um, and I was
Going
like,
for
this
it.
has got to be my son. And the teacher was like, I was so proud of him because he was like, my mom's an entrepreneur and I want to be an entrepreneur. Because we have so much fun. And she's so much fun. She's kind of famous. Um, and it was just like,
Love that for him.
it was, and this is exactly what I want, like, my nieces, my nephews, my children. Um, And all of like, the generation that's looking upwards to us is, and it's exactly the actions that we take. It's not about, you know, um, it's not about what we say to them. It's about it's all about the actions. Um, and they see that I am able to be there for them when they need me. But also I think it's more about like how much of a difference that they see in me now, as being happy. And they give me now the same support that their dad does because they they see this like, they see this dream becoming true step by step.
And from your hard work. So, like, what a life lesson for them to be able to see, like, mom works and mom is successful and she does all of these things. Like, what a life lesson. So, you started out with like a scarcity mindset to, confidently state your prices, value your work. So, how did you achieve your 60,000 revenue goal despite limited social media reach?
Podcasts. I'm just going to say this. Still remember I used to listen to this podcaster, Kathy Heller. She was also my coach. I listened to all service, product, all these stories that you hear from women. Um, And starting, I didn't do that the first year, but the second year, so I went from the first year was 20,000, the second year was 30,000, the third year was 60,000. So I started, you have to incorporate the value of your time into your product.
1,000%.
But when you start, there's an imposter syndrome. It's like, okay, this is the glass that I'm going to drink water in. This glass can be found at Costco for maybe $5. But maybe at Saks Fifth Avenue, this is $50. And then you keep on hearing through these business podcasts, through the books that you read, there's a customer at every price. Um, and I was like, okay, so I think for me, and I was recently asked that by like one of like my friends who have become an entrepreneur. She was like, I feel so bad asking for this much money. And this is how I priced my items. It was like all this time I'm not spending with my children.
And
So
what's
I'm
the
taking this
value?
time away. What is the value that I want to add to it?
Which won't
Because
replace that time, but it will, help be like, this is what mom is doing.
yeah, because there's always, you know, you always have different categories, right? If you want to give back, if you want to be kind, if you want to not be able to charge a certain amount, volunteer, okay? Um, but if you are starting a business and you want it to succeed, you have to add your value. How do you value yourself? And that should reflect on the products that you are selling and the service that you are giving. And that's, there's so many people, and women feel ashamed. And I had so many people come to me and be like, your prices are too much. But that too much of a price has led to a nonprofit now, has led to hiring women were ne who have never worked in their life and has changed their life. Um, so money is a tool, as we all know, and it should not be like, associated with success, because success are so much more than just the money. But it's definitely a tool that we can use to change so many lives, to make an impact, especially in the day and age we're living right now. Everyone around us needs some sort of compassion, empathy.
1,000.
And the only way to do that is first to show it to yourself. And the way you show it is the work that you are doing. What are you charging? Um, how are you making an impact at every step, wherever you are at, whether you're a mom, an entrepreneur, a volunteer, a founder of a nonprofit. It just reflects, it should reflect your own values.
And it's so impressive. And I want to dive in so much to the nonprofit that you started. So you started a nonprofit in Pakistan to feed 300 people daily and empower women. So where did this idea come from? How did you get it started? Like, give us all the details about this amazing endeavor you're doing.
Whew. Um, So here I was doing so all my life, like I always wanted to have a nonprofit. And I wanted to make a difference in people's lives. So coming from a mindset where business is bad, for profit is bad,
Yep.
don't charge profits. So like so when I started my business, like this is where I was at. But because I wanted to make a difference in my life, make my spouse's life easier, have the freedom that I want to have with my kids, it's like, okay, let's start a business. And then that grew and I personally grew. And I was helping women, and other projects that were like, you know, some friends were doing through Wow Meme, and I saw like, okay, it's like, if I do well in my business, I'm able to give time away, I'm able to give resources away, I'm able to give money away. Um, so in that, I was like, okay, this is coming out to be something.
Yeah.
Um, but I never thought about starting a nonprofit this early. Just like I said, you are so much closer to your dreams than you realize. So I was at a retreat, and I think we should all invest in retreats. I think I have seen hosting them and being part of, like, as a guest, they change lives
Yeah.
because you are surrounded by women who are ready to make the change, who are ready to jump off of the cliff,
And that's so beautiful.
and ready to fly. And that just within 3 days, your life changes. So I still remember August, I think it was 2021. I was in Malibu at a retreat, and it was my very first time doing sound baths and meditations, and this was one of the meditation that we were in, and it went from like, what is a perfect life, like what do you envision. It was a beautiful home where my friends and family and I was serving them, and then the I still remember the voice in my head was like, what is the purpose of life?
Yeah.
Now walk in your purpose. Um, and I saw myself sitting on the ground feeding children. Um,
Cool.
and I never thought about starting fruit projects, or I always thought like if I started a non-profit, it would be more of like, a women empowerment project, like something that did not like associate with food, because I never thought about it. Um, so I think all the puzzle pieces came together. I shared my vision with these women. Um, and they were like, you should start your nonprofit. You should start your nonprofit. And I still remember it was August 2nd. There were about 60 women, at least 20 of them came forward and were like, we are ready to support you. See what you can come up with. Let us help you. Um, and then I thought about this project, which we were already with my sister, and I wanted to help one of my cousins who lost her daughter. She was 10 years old to a horrific accident. And we were like, how do we empower her? Um, and little by little, this project came up where now we hire women as cooks. So they cook at home and then they feed children and women who are on the streets working. And so right now we are sending lunch to 150 kids in a school where that is probably their only meal of the day. And then these women's life, the way it has changed, like, and now I think when you start seeing such drastic changes in people's life, you realize you're just a vessel that things are going through.
1,000%. And
Um,
it only takes one person to change one person's life, and the ripple effect that that has through generations is just phenomenal.
and this is where it is, right? I had a lawyer show up who was able to file the paperwork for the 501(c)(3) status pro bono. Um,
Yeah.
Everything you start, but then one thing that you have to be always be mindful of, and I have been through that. There are waves when you see things happening, and then it's like the imposter syndrome shows up. Like, who are you to do all of this? This can't happen. And I kid you not, Rachel, there have been times where I was short on money for my nonprofit, and the money showed up
That's so wonderful.
randomly. Um, and this is where you trust yourself, you trust the universe or whatever you believe in, whatever spiritual level you're at, because I think becoming who you are, becoming the projects, because each business is like a project,
Yeah.
whether it's a nonprofit or for profit or if you're volunteering, these are all projects of our lives that we are working on. You need yourself, but you also need an anchor that you can hold on to.
Yeah.
And it could be your higher self, it could be, anything that you believe in. If you're a person of faith, it's God. But keep that anchor always there. Hold on to it. Because without that, it gets very, very hard. And I have been like, even after 7 years, there are times when I'm like, oh my gosh, all of this is gonna shut down the money. Look at where the world is. People cannot donate. Um, but then even if it's like, $1, it's one meal. And now, thanks to social media, we have so much reach. There's so many ways. If you repost something, and then if you have like 5 friends repost it, um, anything is possible.
No, 1,000%. And you're doing such good work, like you're making a difference because those women, that affects their children. And when it's the children, like that's going to affect like how their lives turn out and if they're able to survive. And then the amount of gratefulness they must feel has to get passed on in some way. And like
And
that's,
one thing that I would love to add is, um, and thank God, for the humility and how grounded I still feel. I say this nonprofit is like an insurance policy of mine, right? Because at the end of the day, you're doing something good.
yeah,
So therefore, I feel that even when I'm like in trouble with things, or if I feel like business is not doing well, or if I just feel the heat of what's going on around the world, at the end of the day, you can still sit down with yourself and tell yourself that you are making a difference somewhere.
yeah,
And I think this is what we all need. because all the shift that the universe is going through is not a small one, and we are feeling the waves of it as we were talking before. And I think the only way to calm down your nervous system is a self-empowerment. And I call it a self-awakening journey. Awake the parts of yourself. If you need to take a break, take a break. I'm in that phase right now where I'm taking a break from a lot of things. Um, and this is where your business comes in handy because I have a product-based business. Even when I'm taking a break, I'm still making money.
Yeah, which is so
And
nice.
this is 6 years later, and I have the privilege of doing that, of, like taking a break from social media. If I don't want to post, I don't have to post. And the personal connections I have made, if I am lacking donations, I can always call. I'm not dependent on showing my face. I'm not dependent on technology to do that. And I think this is where this is a holistic way of approaching to life, where you're not just dependent on one thing. You have a little bit of everything. You have personal connections. You have human to human connection, which it like is so important right now. But I feel like this is the only way to get through this time that we are going through.
I mean, and you're just making a difference, and like you're making a difference for yourself, but like for so many others, and like that kind of self-reward and karma is going to come back around tenfold. And like you're both a blessing to so many others, but to yourself and your family, and that's so beautiful.
And thank you. And it doesn't, if you're listening to this today and you're like, okay, I don't have a nonprofit, I don't have the means right now. I'm so stressed out. I just can hardly take care of myself. Um, Anytime you're out, hold the door for someone.
Yep.
Ask someone how you are doing. Um, just sit at a coffee shop and have a conversation. You never know how you can change someone's life
Yeah.
with just like a few sentences. Maybe they're having a bad day. Um, and we are living in such a difficult time where everything is about like, let's just divide, right? By race, by religion, where you're from, what your political, how do you associate yourself politically? Like, what is it?
Yeah.
Whatever it is, we are like being divided. Um, but if we just, just just ask someone how they're doing and how you feel and how they're feeling, uh, repost something on, Instagram that like reflects, your positivity, or, you feel like someone is gonna heal from it. The th I think kindness is so necessary and it has become very easy as well, and it's so much needed. Um, just, if you can set aside 5 minutes and check up on a friend. Don't even like, you don't even have to think about strangers. If you're sitting here with on your cell phone, just be like, are you doing okay? Because everyone needs that okay check right now, because we are not okay. And that's the reality of things. But
1,000%.
if you just check on someone and be like, oh, I'm going through the same thing, but together I see the light and I want you to see the light. And if you like, just carry on the conversation, there's just so much that can be done. And I think this is the time for it.
I love that. And it's so true though. Like you need to start and you're going to start now, start today. Like if you're going to be able to start today with just a small act of kindness, and like who knows what that could do for someone. That could buying them a cup of coffee, like holding the door open. Just kindness is what we all need right now.
And we can all, and it's not like you cannot monetize kindness, right? When the vacuum of like, when there's such a vast need of kindness and empathy, look at what you can do with your businesses.
Yeah. And like what
Sending a small gift with your product, giving someone 30 minutes extra of coaching, um, there's so many ways that you can make a difference. It doesn't have to be through a nonprofit. Um, and you will see right in front of your eyes the way things shift right in front of you. And this is it. I still feel it's still the beginning because I'm still working on myself. There's still a lot of discipline that's needed in my life. Um, but start messy. Even if you give yourself like a C or a D for the day, start writing um, how you feel at the end of the day. Just be honest to yourself. And going through this journey of looking inwards, I think it's the hardest thing to do.
I think
Sitting with yourself, sitting down. But you have to be compassionate. You have to be empathetic. You have to hold all of the sides of you, like, whether it's a dark side or a good side or whatever sides that you have. We have so many personalities within us,
yeah,
and we have to take care of it all. And we have to love it all. Um, and it's not an easy time, and it will be soon, hopefully. But show yourself some empathy, and once you do that, you can show others the same empathy as well.
I love that. And I mean, as we wrap up, that literally leads perfectly into my last question. But something I ask all of my guests is if you could give one piece of advice to your 16-year-old self, what would that be?
The morning routine, how
Love.
you start the day, is the key to success. How you wake up, what are the thoughts when you are awake, what are the thoughts that come to your mind? And you just every day, even if it's just 3 breaths, that you get up and take intentionally and just listen to yourself, start with that. Start waking up a little bit earlier. Um, I have seen amazing, amazing changes in my life every time. I'm still working on it because my 16-year-old self was all over the place with the sleeping schedule and with the kids, and it hasn't gotten easier.
Right? It just, you're like, this got a lot worse with them. They don't have
I
it.
know. And this is one thing, like, and if you can read in the morning, if you can just, hold that anchor, be present for yourself, it doesn't take more than 30 minutes. But if no matter which age you are at, if you can just, and every day is a new day. You don't have to carry the burdens of yesterday. You can start it fresh. Just know what will feel good, what will feel lighter. What can I get what can I just let go of? Um, is something are a few questions you can start with.
That's amazing. And what good advice, I mean, even just for today, not just for your 16-year-old self. And I love that. Well, thank you so much for coming on. We're going to put all of the information on where to find her book and her store and her nonprofit in the show notes. And it just was so inspiring to talk to you and speak about all the amazing things that you have done and are doing.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone. We will talk to you next week.